Hi, my name is Lisa and welcome back to my channel, Sweetheart Sews. Today I'm not going to be working on a big project, but rather a bunch of small things that need slight repairs or slight alterations to make them more usable. So these are not difficult things, they're things that shouldn't take that much time, but I thought I'd put them all together and make a nice morning out of it. So feel free to join me if you have other small repairs to do at your place. Welcome, and let's get started. So my first project that I want to work on is this little purse that my mom got in Hawaii. It's just a cute little day bag. It has a very, very long strap though, and when my mom's wearing it, it hangs like below her waist, much like further down her hip, honestly, and past her bum. So she asked me if I could adjust the strap. So I thought that rather than just measuring and cutting to the right length, I thought I would make it adjustable. So that way, depending on what clothes she's wearing, if she has a jacket or something that's a little bit thicker, she can adjust the length to suit her needs. So I have these sliders. This is a slider and just a square ring. So I'm going to be using these so that my mom can adjust her bag. So all I'm going to do is open up the bag on one side where the strap is attached. I'm going to seam rip that, and then I'm going to do a little adjustment by attaching these D-rings. All right, so we'll get started. Okay. So I've managed to free the strap from the bag. So we'll figure out how much we need to keep in here. Okay, so I've measured about 10 centimeters that I've cut off from the end of the strap where I had unpicked it, and now I'm just going to loop the square ring inside, and then I'm going to pop it into the bag. And it'll stick out of the bag like this. So I'll get out my sewing machine and we'll sew that in place. Okay, so I have my machine all set up. I'm just going to use the strip of webbing that I cut, put it through the rectangular ring, and then I'm just going to slide it into the bag where I had seam ripped originally. I'm just going to hold it in place. Look, see the little black webbing poking through, and my pins aren't strong enough. If you had clips, would be a good opportunity to use them, but I'm just going to hold it in place. Now I've switched my machine needle to a denim needle because it's quite a bit thicker, so we're just going to go slow and create a few lines of stitching to hold that in place, trying to go over where the original stitching was, so that everything lines up. Okay, so I just went over it a few times, just within that seam allowance, to really ensure that the webbing is held in place and it's nice and secure. So just trim that off. Flip it out. There we go. First part is done, and now we'll attach the ring. All right, so on to the buckle. So this is the other side of the strap, which I cut, and as you can see, it's starting to fray already. This is nylon. So what I usually do for nylon webbing is I'll use a flame to just melt it to ensure that it doesn't keep fraying. You cannot do this with cotton, so make sure you know what materials that you're using, because if you try to burn the cotton will burn, versus something like nylon, which is made from polyester. It's plastic essentially, so it'll melt and you can ensure that it won't fray. I was looking in my drawer for my crafting lighter. This is how you can tell I don't smoke, because my lighter's for crafting, but I couldn't find it, so we're gonna use matches. That's fine. Ooh. Nope. See? Not a smoker. And just going to melt the edges. There we go. Dispose of these. Put them in my metal tin here. There we go. All right. So that's just melted a little bit, and that way it won't fray. Okay. Do this with adult supervision, please. All right. So we will attach the buckle now. All right. So the next step is to attach the buckle. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that my bag is laying flat, that my webbing is not twisted. Then I'm going to use the buckle. So this is a buckle here. It has a rectangular frame, which is solid, and then the buckle part in the middle, which can move. So what I'm going to do, my bag is face up, so I'm going to go under, through the bottom, over the buckle, and then up through the top, like this. So this is the front. You can see just the frame, and on the back, you can see just the adjustable piece in the middle there. I'm going to leave a long tail to start. And then what I'm going to do with this long tail, again making sure nothing is twisted, I'm going to come through the front of my buckle and loop it around the buckle. Not the buckle, sorry, the rectangular ring. You can see. All right, so this is the part where it gets tricky. So with my buckle, I'm just going to shuffle it down a little to make a loop. And then I'm going to use the tail end, and I'm going to go up towards this side here, the far side. And then I'm going to go over just the movable buckle. It's a little tricky because it's within. Give you a close-up look here. So this is what it should look like. So here's the long strap, and then with the tail, we just went in here around the buckle. This is within the big loop, around the buckle and down. Okay, so here's my little tail here, and then with this little tail, we're going to attach it to the longer part of the tail. I don't know if that makes sense. I can do another demo if I need to. Yeah, okay, so let's do it again. Okay, take two. So, making sure my strap is not twisted. I'm going to put it on the buckle. So starting at the back, going over the buckle and then back in. And I'm going to pull it. So from the front, this is what you see, just the frame. And on the back, you see the movable buckle. Okay. So now I'm going to, again, making sure that my bag is not twisted. From the front, I'm going to loop through the ring that we installed earlier. I'm just going to turn you sideways here. I'm going to pinch the sides a bit so I can raise the loop and lower the buckle piece. And then with the tail, I'm going to go on the far side. So for me, it's on my left. Up in that loop and then down over the buckle. And I'm going to pull my tail out. Okay. So there we go. Here's the second loop. So you have your big loop and then your small tail. Your tail will make a small loop on the inside. And then I'm just going to, with the tail portion, pinch it together and then sew right in here to secure it. All right, there we go. A little tricky to get everything under the machine, just take your time. Can make the tail longer, of course. And I'm just going to secure the strap, the tail end to the strap, I'm just going to be doing a rectangle, and then I'm going to make a cross in the middle of the rectangle to ensure that it is well and secure. Okay. Making sure the needle is down, I'm going to lift the foot and just pivot. Alright, there you go. Again, the part that we secured is within the first loop. So that's done. I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so easy fix. Now this purse is adjustable. So you just pull on the buckle, pull it down to make the strap longer, and you pull the buckle up to make the strap shorter. So for me, I am left-handed. I tend to wear my purse on the right side, so the buckle is at the front, but my mom is right-handed and she tends to wear her purse on the left, so for her the buckle will be on her back. So that's what she wanted. Okay. Easy fix, number one done. Now, project number two, similar situation. So I have this crossbody bag that I made at Christmas. It's somewhere between a crossbody bag and like a fanny pack style bum bag that's been trendy the past couple of years. I like it. I think it's really cute, but the problem is the buckle. So just as we attached the buckle to the my mom's bag, we're going to do the same with mine. So when I put my buckle in, the only mistake I did was that the raw edge is on the outside. And because I had burned this to stop it from fraying, it is a bit rough. So every time I wear it, I'm a little worried that this is going to scratch my clothes and that it'll wear my clothes out a little faster. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to unpick these stitches and I'm going to rethread the buckle to make sure that this tail is on the inside and it's not going to be rubbing up against my clothes. So we'll remove the stitches and we'll get started with that. Okay. Oh, stitches removed. So I'm just going to take the strap off. So what I had done when I had put the strap in again, I made the big loop and I made the little loop, and I had gone so I went down this side, went around my D-ring, and then I came up through the same side and then went over. But unfortunately, that's why my webbing was visible. The tail of my webbing was visible on the outside. So I'm just going to pull it out. Okay. And again, so there's my ring. This is much easier to see on this blue, blue webbing. So going through my rectangular ring, folding it, making that first loop. So the first time I had come up on the inside on this side, but what I really want to do is come up on this side of the ring so that my tail will not be rubbing against my clothes. So coming from the far side down over the buckle, and then I'm going to be attaching it to itself down here at the bottom. Okay. Okay, we're all experts in buckle making by the end of this. All right, get my machine over here. We'll be back. So again, attaching the tail to itself, not to the longer strap. And I'm just going to do again, I'm going to do my rectangle with an X through it. And I think I didn't change my thread. I'm using the same black thread I used for my mom's purse. I don't think it's a big deal. It will be visible, but since my webbing is multicolored anyway, you would see the thread no matter what. So before I had a navy blue, it was visible. The black's going to be visible. Not a big deal. All right. Trim this off. My machine was giving me a little bit of trouble, but I think that's because I accidentally took off the presser foot. That's okay. If your machine does not want to go over such a thick amount of fabric, it's best to use the hand wheel to crank it manually than to try to force the machine, because you don't want to accidentally break a needle. My machine, it's not an industrial machine, it's a domestic machine, but it can tolerate quite a bit. But I find that it can do a lot more with hand crank than it can with the motor and the foot pedal. Okay, so here's what I was saying about the rectangle. It's not beautiful, it's a little sloppy, but I made a rectangle and then I made an X going through it just to help reinforce it. It doesn't need to be beautiful because this is on the inside. So now this is the inside of my bag. You can see that the tail of the webbing is on the inside. So between the, under here. So the strap covers it on either side. So now when I wear it, it's not going to scratch up against my clothes or my skin. For that matter. There we go. Another one, easy. Doesn't take long, but again, sometimes you just don't want to pull out your machine for a 3-minute job. Okay, so my third project is this tank top. It's a plain cotton tank top that I've had for many years. It has a little bit of scalloped trim on it. It's very cute, and it has these beautiful shell buttons. I don't know what it is about shell buttons, but I love them. I think they're so delicate and so beautiful. And the way they make a little rainbow when you catch the light, it's really pretty. So these buttons are functional buttons. You can undo this section here and open the buttons up, but because this is a knit cotton, I don't need to do the buttons up to get in and out of the top. So although they are functional, for my purposes, they are decorative. So the thing that bothers me with this tank top, and I've had it for years, and this is again a simple fix, but every time I wear it, I think, oh, I catch myself in the mirror, I think, oh, just a little thing that would make it better, is the top button here. So I don't know if you can see, but the top button is too high, where it's actually coming off the top of the tank top. So the buttonhole is strangely high on this section, so that's why the button seems like it's coming off the tank top, because it's really close to the edge. So all I'm going to do is take off the button and I'm going to lower it. I'm going to stitch through all of the layers, again because I don't need to use the buttons as a closure. I'm just going to go through all the layers to ensure that this top button is in a proper position. And you can see it creates like a little tuck here because the buttonhole is in the wrong spot along this neckband piece. So a little bit of hand sewing, but should be an easy fix. Okay, so I have my tank top here. Give you a close-up look. Do you see how the buttonhole is right up at the top of the neckband, causing the button to kind of come up over the top of the top, and it creates this little tuck here. So I'm just going to get started seam ripping here. Oh, there you go. Look how high up that is. Should have been placed like right here in the middle. Anyway. Okay. Button removed. I love these. Let's see if we can. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so a bit of hand sewing this time. I don't have a thread that's the exact same match as my, I don't know what color you'd call this, like a mousy brown, but I have kind of like a khaki green. Seems to be in the same color family. I don't know if you can tell from the screen. It's not quite matched, but I think it's close enough. So we'll find a needle here. I can go through my button. Yep, perfect. Now, as much as I love sewing, sewing on buttons is not my favorite activity. I feel like my fingers are too big, and it's hard to hold the button in place exactly where I want it when I'm sewing. So it's not my favorite thing to do, and that's probably why I've left this for so long. Alright, so I just knotted the end. I'm just going to do a single length of thread. When my mom taught me to sew on buttons when I was little, she always doubled the thread, and I guess you can get twice as much in less stitches. But I find that I always end up getting a knot in the thread when I try to double it. I know you can buy thread conditioners like little wax that you can use to avoid getting knots in your thread, but I've never tried. I usually just do a single and then turns out. I cut my little tail here. Alright. So now that I'm looking at it, the hole is quite big, and I guess it's kind of stretched out of shape from where the button was. So I think I'm just going to use my needle and thread and close that hole up. And then when I put my button on top, then hopefully it'll seem more even. So we'll do that to start. Okay. So sewed up the little hole there. It's laying a lot smoother. So I'm just going to line up the two sides of the front. And we're going to attach the button, making sure that the holes of the button are going in the same direction as all the others. Maybe I'll just fasten this. With a couple of stitches first. Okay. There we go. Button repositioned. Moved it down by just like half a centimeter, but already it looks so much better. It's funny how something can so tiny can bother you, but it does. It does. There you go. I still have that little fold tuck in the fabric. I guess I could reinforce it, but for some reason it doesn't bother me as much as the button at the wrong spot. There we go. Good. Okay, third project done. So I just moved the button down by about half a centimeter, but now it's not hanging over the edge of the shirt. As you can see, it's centered well in the neckband. So something very simple that just took me a few minutes, but I know that it's not going to be something that's bugging me anymore. There we go. Simple, easy peasy. Yeah, so thank you very much for joining me. Did 3 very simple projects that did not take a long time, but because I did all 3 of them at once in the same morning, felt like I accomplished more than if I had done them one at a time, and it made it worth taking out the sewing machine for it. So again, the projects we did were adjusting this purse by adding a buckle onto it so that the strap is now adjustable. My second project of, again, buckle, adjusting the buckle so that the tail was on the inside and not on the outside, so that it doesn't scratch up against my clothes or my skin while I'm wearing it. And then the third, readjusting a button to make the shirt just a little bit cuter and doesn't affect my OCD as much. So again, very easy projects, things that don't take that much time, but because they don't take time, I tend to brush them to the side and think, oh, I'll do that later once I have my machine out. But I feel good having been able to check those off my list. There are a few more little repairs. I'm sure I'll find more things that need to be adjusted, but yeah, this was a good morning, well spent. So thank you again for joining me with my small mending pile. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Again, my name is Lisa and this is Sweetheart Sews. Thanks for joining me and have a good day. Bye.